"Happy New Year, loser," my mom texted after abandoning me at the airport. I sold her car and emptied our joint account. Now their world has collapsed. I never imagined that at 30, I'd be standing alone at an airport, feeling like my entire world was falling apart. I stood at the airline counter. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman at the counter looked at me with that practiced, indifferent smile and said, "I'm sorry, sir, but your ticket has been canceled." Canceled? I repeated, my voice sharper than I intended. "That's not possible. My parents booked this trip for me. I'm supposed to leave today." I handed her my phone with the confirmation email, but she just shook her head. "Yes, I see the reservation here, but it was canceled on December 27th. You'll have to contact customer service if you want more details." I felt my stomach drop. I had no warning, no notice, nothing. 2 days ago? I asked, my voice shaking. What the hell happened 2 days ago? The only people who had control over my ticket were my parents. This trip, this New Year's surprise, was their idea. They had been talking about it for weeks, saying how I needed a break, how we could finally go on a family vacation. Europe was the destination, and I was supposed to be the recipient of the grand surprise. At first, I wasn't that excited. Another New Year's Eve in a new country didn't sound amazing to me, but after everything that had happened, I thought it could be a chance to finally connect with them. They had been hinting for a while that I should come, saying this was a gift for all the help I had given them over the years, from taking care of their bills to managing various personal issues they couldn't handle. But now my trip was canceled, and it was clear they didn't care. I stepped to the side of the line and pulled out my phone, trying to reach my parents. I didn't expect Dad to respond quickly, so I went straight to Mom. She always replied fast. I texted her, "Hey, they say my ticket has been canceled. Is this a mistake?" I waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The line behind me grew and the noise in the airport started to get on my nerves. Finally, my phone buzzed. I opened the message, expecting some explanation or an apology. Instead, the message from Mom read, "Happy New Year, loser." For a second, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe she'd sent it to the wrong person. But the more I stared at it, the more I realized this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't even a joke. She was doing this on purpose. I felt a wave of anger rise in my chest. After everything I had done for them, helping with their bills, paying off their debts, buying my mom a new car for her birthday just a few months ago, they were still pulling stunts like this. I had worked tirelessly to support them, to be the responsible son they wanted, but this was the final straw. I couldn't believe how petty they were. All the hints they had dropped about how expensive the trip was, but I never thought they'd go this far. I gritted my teeth and typed a reply. "There's a surprise waiting for you when you get back." My phone immediately lit up with calls from my mother. I declined each one with savage satisfaction. They wanted to play games? Fine, I'd show them what games really looked like. Over the next few days, while they enjoyed their European vacation, I systematically dismantled every bit of support I'd given them. I started with their precious car, the $45,000 luxury sedan I'd bought my mom for her birthday just 4 months ago. She'd been flaunting it all over social media, posting daily photos and bragging about her generous son. The title was still in my name, and I knew exactly who to call. My friend Marcus owned a used car dealership and had been eyeing the car since I bought it. One call to him and the deal was done. He offered cash, no questions asked, even sending a tow truck to pick it up that afternoon. I made sure to remove the custom floor mats and steering wheel cover. I'd added little touches my mom had specifically requested. Let her come back to an empty driveway. Next came the joint savings account, their favorite piggy bank. I'd been watching them drain it for years. $500 for emergency shopping spree, $1,000 for a spontaneous weekend trip, $2,000 for home improvements that never seemed to materialize. They'd taken advantage of my generosity for the last time. I walked into the bank first thing Monday morning and withdrew every cent, all $47,832.68 of it. The teller raised an eyebrow when I closed the account, but I just smiled and said I was consolidating my finances. But I wasn't done yet. I logged into all their subscription services, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Spotify, even their precious golf club membership, and canceled everything I'd been paying for. I'd set up autopay on my credit card for their utilities too, so I canceled those payments. Let them come home to a dark house with no internet. I even called their mortgage company and removed myself as a contact person. For years, I'd been the one they called when my parents missed a payment or were late with their property taxes. Not anymore. Let them handle their own financial messes. My only response to their frantic messages was a single text, "Happy New Year, losers." Then I blocked them. What I didn't expect was how quickly word would spread through the family. My aunt and uncle reached out on New Year's Eve, concerned because they'd heard I was sick and couldn't travel. When I told them the truth about being abandoned at the airport and my parents' cruel message, their reaction surprised me. They were furious on my behalf. "Wait, they did what?" my uncle had texted, followed by a stream of angry messages from my cousins. Apparently, my parents had spun quite a tale about my absence from the family vacation. Now everyone knew the truth and they weren't happy. When my parents returned, they brought reinforcements, my sister, uncle, aunt, and several cousins, probably thinking the family presence would force me to back down. They showed up at my apartment looking jet-lagged and nervous. "John, look, can we just talk?" My mother started, her voice sickly sweet. I let them all in, watching as they arranged themselves in my living room like a jury about to deliver a verdict. My mother tried to downplay everything. "We really didn't mean for this to happen. It was just, a little joke that went too far." "A joke?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Well, then you're going to love the jokes I played while you were gone." I told them everything about selling the car, emptying the joint account, and my final decision to stop helping with their mortgage. The room erupted into chaos. My parents screamed about ingratitude while my aunt, uncle, and cousins defended me. Even my tiny sister tried to play peacemaker, but nobody paid attention to her squeaky attempts at mediation. It was chaos. The argument went on for another 15 minutes until I finally had enough and told everyone to leave. My parents stormed out, but my aunt, uncle, and cousins stayed behind to calm me down. "Listen," my uncle said after the dust settled, "I have an idea. Why don't we go on vacation together? Somewhere warm, my treat." "Let's make this right," my cousin added. I hesitated for a second, but then my cousin grinned and said, "Come on, you deserve it. Let's get past this drama." And so I agreed to go to Hawaii. We made the arrangements quickly, and here's the kicker. We pulled the same trick on my parents. My uncle booked a trip for them, but arranged for their flight to leave from a city 5 hours away. When they called me 2 weeks later to complain about how everything went wrong, I just sent them one last message. "Have a nice trip home, losers." Then I blocked them. We ended up in Hawaii, and it was perfect until I got home. My car sat in the apartment parking lot, windows shattered, tires slashed, with "You shouldn't have moved our property" spray-painted across the side in bright red letters. My parents' final act of petty revenge, but they miscalculated. Badly. The aftermath was more severe than they could have imagined. I had installed security cameras around my apartment after their first few threatening messages, so I had crystal-clear footage of them vandalizing my car at 3 a.m. The video showed them in perfect detail. My father slashing the tires while my mother spray-painted her artistic message, both of them taking turns smashing the windows with baseball bats. I didn't just file a police report, I made sure the footage got into the right hands. Our local news station loved the story. "Prominent local couple arrested for vandalizing son's car after family dispute." The security footage played on the evening news, and soon everyone in our small town had seen my respectable, church-going parents destroying property like common criminals. They were arrested at their country club during Sunday brunch, my mother in her tennis whites, my father in his golf attire. The officers didn't even let them change clothes before taking them to the station. Their precious social circle watched the whole thing, phones recording every moment. The charges were serious: felony vandalism, criminal mischief, and because they'd crossed state lines to commit the crime, they lived in the next state over. Federal charges were considered. Their lawyer fees alone wiped out what little savings they had left. The criminal charges forced them to hire expensive lawyers, draining what little savings they had left. Their high-priced attorney cost $500 an hour, and the case dragged on for months. Without my financial support, the bills started piling up. Their mortgage payments fell behind, credit card companies started calling, and their precious country club membership was revoked due to unpaid dues. Within 6 months, they had to put their house on the market, the same house they'd bragged about at every family gathering, with its designer kitchen and newly renovated master bath that I'd helped pay for. They ended up in a small ranch house on the other side of town, the side they used to mock as unsuitable for our kind of people. The irony wasn't lost on anyone when they had to sell my mother's prized antique collection to cover their legal fees. Each piece she'd lovingly collected over the years, items she'd refused to let anyone touch, now sold off at fraction of their value in a rushed estate sale. Their financial fall from grace was complete when my father had to come out of retirement to work as a security guard at the same mall where he used to shop for designer suits. My mother, who'd never worked a day in her life, started selling MLM products on Facebook, desperately trying to maintain the appearance of their former lifestyle. The family completely fractured. Most relatives sided with me, especially after the vandalism incident. My sister eventually apologized for trying to play both sides, admitting our parents had always been toxic, but she'd been too afraid to stand up to them. We're slowly rebuilding our relationship now. My parents tried to reconcile about a year later, sending a tearful letter about how they'd learned their lesson and missed their son. I returned it unopened. Some bridges once burned should stay ash. These days, I'm doing better than ever. The money I used to spend supporting them now goes into my own investments and travel fund. I've built a chosen family of friends and supportive relatives who respect boundaries and understand loyalty goes both ways. Sometimes my mother still tries to reach out through mutual acquaintances, usually when she needs money. I always send back the same message. Happy New Year, loser. It's petty, maybe, but it reminds me of how far I've come and how much better life is without toxic people, even if they're family. The hardest lesson wasn't learning that my parents could be cruel. It was accepting that I deserved better. Now I have better, and I'm never looking back.